Welcome to Real People, Real Life, where everyday conversations lead to extraordinary insights. We're all about digging into the lives of regular people who've achieved success on their own terms. From business and entrepreneurship to fitness, politics, education, and beyond, we cover it all. This is Real People, Real Life. And now your host, Ryan Chereau.
Well, welcome, Gerald.
Thank you. Nice being here.
So I've been excited to talk to you. I met you about 4 years ago.
Yeah, about that.
Yeah, my wife and I bought a place in Tennessee. We always loved Tennessee, and we did a little traveling around and found a little town called Del Rio and found a wonderful cabin. When we were buying the place, the previous owners reached out to me and said, "Hey, we'd like to give your phone number to our neighbors. They're great people." Well, being from California, that could be one of two things. Great people are either crazy or they're actually great people. And we hadn't had any opportunity to really meet anybody from the South. So we got your number and we talked to you on the phone, and you were very nice and anything that we needed and to help. And then our first day there, I think I'd be dead if I didn't meet you, right?
Why?
Well, the very first day I get up there and come out, my car's got a flat tire.
Mm-mm.
Oh no, I think the very first thing, the battery was dead. So you come on down and you bring on. I think you brought. I think you just brought your truck. I don't remember, but you jumped me. You got me going. And then the next day, I come calling you, Maricela, my tire's flat. I called up Gerald, and you took one look at that, and you're like, I can fix that. Now remember, we're out in the middle of nowhere, basically. Half an hour from town, and so we got enough air in it. You brought the little canister, just enough to limp it on over to your house, back the car up, and you were able to grab your tools, punch the hole, get the nail out, and fix my tire for me.
I plugged it.
You plugged it, yeah. And first time I've ever seen that. I figured you get a bad tire, you got to get a new tire, but you plugged it. And it was just really, it was neat for my wife and I to see the unselfish, neighborly attitude that you provided to two strangers, even though that we were from California. And you're a little worried about that, I bet.
Well, I remember telling you, welcome to Tennessee, but you could leave your politics in California.
Which is why we actually were looking in Tennessee. Yeah, California's gotten really crazy. And but we've actually talked about you on the podcast. So you're kind of famous already.
Oh, really?
So what we do, Gerald, is we talk to people from all generations. And some people are starting out in life. Maybe they're just going to college. Maybe they've graduated college and they have these plans, dreams, goals. And we just kind of get their perspective on what they see, what success is in their own terms. And it's interesting to get that from younger people versus older people. Now, you happen to be in that little category of the older people. I don't know if you know that.
Oh, yes.
So how old are you, Gerald?
83.
83. So when I first met you, you were 80. And they said, oh, yeah, the neighbor's up the way, 80 years old. So my vision of an 80-year-old man is on, he's got his walker or he's got his little go-kart, little fat people go-kart that they drive around. But no, here he comes, running around better than I was. You were in better shape than I was. So I get a phone call. We're there for a week, and I get a call about 7 o'clock at night. It's still about dusk. And I think it was you that called me. You said, Ryan, get your butt over here. I got me a deer. It's a runner. Well, I'd never been hunting before, and I was excited to do this. So I go on up to your property where you had 3 deer blinds on your property, right?
Yes.
3 deer blinds. So that night you were out there and you were bow hunting. What are you shooting up? What kind of a bow do you use?
I shot that deer with a crossbow.
With a crossbow. And he ran because he wasn't
Yes.
nowhere around.
No.
So tell the story when good old California comes on up there, and you go, come on, let's go. We got to go find this thing.
Well, it was getting almost dark, and so I had a German Shepherd that I took down there and put on the blood trail, and he started. No, it wasn't the German Shepherd. It was
I think it was Tiny.
Tiny.
Yeah, big Great Pyrenees.
Yeah, and anyway, he got on the trail and took off, and we lost him, and so we kept looking, and finally we heard Tiny bark, and started going down in there to where he was barking at, and we finally located the deer. And Ryan asked me, he said, how are we going to get this thing out of here? I said, we're going to have to carry it or pull it out of here.
Well, and remember, because at first you said, well, we're going to field dress it.
Yeah.
And then you start looking for your knife, and you happen to have left it up on the UTV.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, man, I left my knife. I said, well, what are we going to do? Well, what do you think we're going to do? We're going to carry out. Now, for those listening, we're up in the Smoky Mountains. So this is not flat ground. We probably hiked down, if it wasn't a quarter mile down the hill, at least about a quarter mile down the hill, down a steep, heavy forest. There's a tree every 1 foot. And I'm already breathing hard. And you said, grab a leg. So then what happened, Gerald?
Well, we started pulling the deer back up the hill, and we got up to a little tram road there, and then there was about a 6-foot bank on the other side, and we started up that bank, and there was grapevines all over the ground, and either Ryan or myself, one tripped over a grapevine and fell backwards. The deer fell on top of us, and here we are trying to get untangled to get on up the hill. So we're laying there laughing at one another, and he's asking me if I'm okay, and I said, "Yeah."
I thought I killed you.
And so we finally was able to get off the ground and get a hold of the deer again, and we finally made it up to where we had parked a UTV. But by the time we got up there, we were give out.
Yeah, but you were doing better than I was. That deer fell on top of me. Now, I had just met you. I've already had you jump my car. I've already had you fix my tire. And then I'm out there hunting with you, and I'm thinking, I just killed this 80-year-old man with a deer. I'm more worried about you, and I wasn't laughing. You were laughing hysterically. You were just looking at me laughing. I had blood all over me. I just came back from war. You just thought it was the funniest thing. I'm like, you all right, Gerald? Are you all right? You're like, I'm fine. Are you all right? So we get this thing into the UTV, and we come hauling it back. Well, your wife, Nancy, is already there, got the garage open, and I said, what are we going to do next? We're gonna dress it, I guess it's called, right? And I said, right now? You had that thing hung and quartered, hung, skinned, quartered in about 40 minutes or less, probably.
Yeah, about right.
Just like no big deal. You don't ever go shopping for meat, do you?
No.
No. How many freezers did you have up there?
1, 2, 3.
Yeah, just full of meat.
Yep.
Well, one of the things I like asking people, and especially the silent generation. So you're my first silent generation.
Oh.
I've talked to Gen Z, Gen X, a baby boomer, and now the silent generation. What's your opinion about men these days? What's changed?
Everything. This younger generation, They don't have respect for women. Their language is terrible. They don't want to work. They want everything given to them. There's no pride anymore as far as taking pride in your work ethics. It's just a complete different generation than what I was brought up in.
And there's been, they always say war on women and this. There's been a war on men going on from the hard left feminist movement, basically saying we don't need men. Men aren't necessary. If it wasn't for men, the infrastructure that everybody enjoys would fall apart. 99% of the people that actually keep the infrastructure running in this country and in the world are men. And it's sad. And I look at some of the younger generation, the boys that are trying to be men. They don't have any clue of what it means to be a man. They haven't been through any real adversity. You've seen how many wars?
3, 4. 4.
And they haven't been through anything where it would have to draw, especially the Gen Zers, where it had to pull them together and come together as a country. The last time anything like that really actually happened was 9/11, where we actually saw the country come together and people with different opinions actually started talking with each other. And it was actually a great place to be. Now, when you talk to the young people, they're fed crap like the American dream is dead. Well, no, it's not. They just think that from social media, you do a 15-second video and you're famous, and they want to have everything now without doing the work. What's the trick to being successful? You got to put in the hard work, and you got to be consistent.
Well, this younger generation, they couldn't make it back when I was coming up. I mean, we had to raise our most of our vegetables. They don't even know how to plant anymore.
No, their meat comes from the store, and so does their vegetables. They have no clue on how it actually. Even when I was a kid, they would teach you how to germinate seeds in class. They would always grow a little bean plant or something, and you actually got in and did this type of thing. You'd see how they take you on a field trip to farms. All of that stuff, it just isn't being taught. Self-sufficiency is just out the window. Nobody knows. I don't know how Home Depot stays in business because nobody knows how to fix anything anymore. You've been very consistent in your life. You've been married how many times? 6 times? 7 times?
One time.
One time. Okay. So when did you meet this beautiful bride of yours?
I met her when I was 14 and she was 12.
14? Well, you dirty dog.
I met her in 1956. And we dated until I went into the service. And when I went into the service, we broke up, broke up for about a year. And then I come home on leave one weekend. And at that time, I didn't have an automobile, and I had to hitchhike, which I could hitchhike faster than I could drive back then. Nowadays, you don't even dare hitchhike, but I would hitchhike from Fort Knox, Kentucky to Jacksonville. And one weekend, I just happened to hitchhike in, and I was going to call my mom to come and pick me up. I only had a dime. That's when they had, telephones on every corner, and there was only a dime, and I only had one dime left. And when I went to call my mom to come pick me up, I dialed her number by mistake.
For real? It was a real mistake.
Yeah.
Fate.
And I asked her what she was doing over at my mom's house, and she said, I'm not. I'm at my house. And I said, well, I thought I'd call her. And she said, no, but I had just memorized her phone number. And I said, well, would you call my mom, have her to come out here and pick me up? I said, I only had that one dime. And she said, no. She said, I'll come pick you up.
Oh.
And that was the start of it, and that's been 62 years now.
62 years.
Yeah.
Nothing but marital bliss.
Yes.
What's the secret to I mean, basically, divorce is expected. People get, I'm gonna get married for a while, and I'm just gonna get divorced. I think that comes back. I mean, I have a practice wife. I got married young, but there's no stick to itiveness. In business, I'm in business, and one of the things that they say most businesses fail. And I think a big reason for that is, like a relationship, you're excited to start the business, you're excited to get it going, but like anything, that excitement starts to fade away, and then the hard work kicks in. And people don't understand that that's also the same in relationships, is that it is hard work to keep a successful relationship, whether it's friends or a marriage. What would you say are the main top reasons to keep a happy marriage for 62 years and counting? Because I see you guys together, and you guys are very, very romantic with each other, and you're like boyfriend and girlfriend.
Well, marriage is not 50-50. Marriage is 100-100. And you just have to find the right one. And I think I found the right one. Must have, because of 62 years. But
what would your advice be to the young couples out there, seeing you at 62, going on 63, and hopefully 80 years? What would your advice be when they are trying to find the right one, because they're bombarded with such nonsense, and that they're all on their phones and social media? What should they be looking for when they are trying to find that person they can spend 50, 60, 70 years with? Besides, finding a smoking hot wife like you found.
Yeah. You got to be dedicated. I don't know.
One of the things,
a lot of the people just think, well, I'm in love. I'm not always in love. I mean, I don't always like her. I love her all the time, but I don't always like her. And marriage is not something you just jump into. We dated for, I guess, 3 years or so, actually, before we got married. And when we got married, we decided we did not want children, and for at least 5 years, in order to get used to what our needs are.
Enjoy the honeymoon
Enjoy
phase
one another.
and get to know each other. One of my observations, my wife and I's observations of you and your wife, is you're like best friends.
Yeah.
No matter where Gerald is, Nancy's close behind, or Nancy's right with you. The other thing that I found refreshing was, you don't leave the house unless you get a kiss goodbye. And I love you
Every day.
Every day. That's important, to let the people in your life know how you feel about them. People just take things for granted, and it does take hard work and consistency. We see you guys together, and it's very it's encouraging to see the success in marriage, and happily married as well. So you guys, you work now. You worked for the phone company.
Yes.
You did that for what, 2 or 3 years?
22.
You do everything long term, don't you?
Yeah.
You got that figured out.
And she done it for 35.
Okay.
So we both retired from Bell South.
And how old were you when you retired?
55.
55 years old. So again, perspective, right? Thinking, I'm 55, going to retire. That's an early retirement. So you're going to go ahead and just sit on a rocking chair and enjoy the last 10 years of your life and don't do much with it.
No, my plans that I was going to spend most of my time hunting and fishing. Well, at that time, I was hunting up in South Carolina, which I had been hunting up there almost 23 years. And I thought, I'm just going to hunt and fish. Well, I got tired of killing and cleaning deer. And so I got a job. I come back and I got a job driving a tour bus. And I drove a tour bus for about a year. And I got tired of that. And I drove tractor trailer hauling mail for almost 5 years.
Now, you did that not out of necessity, just
no.
to do something.
No, just something to do. And I enjoyed driving a truck. And then they went union, and I decided that I did not want to work for another union company. So I quit that and started doing home repairs, and I've done home repairs for 5 years.
And that was your own business.
Yes.
And now, how old were you when you started that?
I was 61, I think.
And one of the things I always tell people is throw the rules out. So many people say, oh, I'm too old for this, or I can't do that because of this. They make every excuse in the book not to go out and do something. Throw the rules out. If you want to do it, figure it out. We live in an amazing time where the information to figure things out could never be easier. You want to learn how to do anything, the information is at your fingertips. You still got to do the hard work to learn it. But at 61 years old, you decide, hey, I've done my military career. I did my real career working for the phone company. Did a couple of side jobs. I know, I'm just going to become an entrepreneur. I'm going to go do one of the hardest things that there is out there. And you did that with your wife? It was you and your wife running that business?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And tell me about what you would do. What was the basis? What was the basic idea, and what got you excited to go and run that or start that business?
Well, we had so many people, especially elderly women at our church, and everything, that needed jobs, small jobs done that most big contractors did not want to do because there wasn't enough money in it. And so we done small odd and end jobs. Sometimes I do a remodel job, but nothing real big. And what we charged was reasonable, and I charged by the hour. I didn't go give these big amounts of estimates, for doing a job. I tell them I'm going to do the job per hour, so much per hour, and that's what I done. But it gave me something to do, but it also helped people out.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, it got to where it turned almost into a full-time job. I was keeping that much work going. And but then when we started going to Tennessee, I built a house up there. So I kind of got out of the home repairs.
That's what you do when you're in your 60s, right? You buy land and just start building your own house.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's 65? Yeah, most 65-year-olds, they get up and they say, yeah, I'm retired now. I think I'm going to build myself about an 1,500 square foot house.
1,700.
With a full basement.
Well, when I was 65, I had her on the tractor with a ladder in the bucket, and I'm up 22 feet in the air putting siding on the house. And she's down there taking pictures, and I said, what's that, for insurance purposes?
But it didn't stop you. You decided, hey, I want to start a business. You started a business. You want to build a house. You didn't look at the rules and say, well, Gerald, you're 65 years old. You shouldn't be building a house. Hey, Frog,
Uh,
you want to be on? You just said, I want to build a house. You didn't make any excuses.
Well, my wife told me I could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you did.
She said, you can do it.
How long did it take?
5 years.
How long did it take before you actually were able to move into it? 5 years?
No, we were able to move into it in about 3. We stayed in a camper for 3 years. Yeah, so it took about 3 years to actually move into it, and it was not complete then. She said as long as I had a kitchen and a bedroom and a bathroom, we'd move into it.
Yeah, and a very nice house. Jealous of the basement. That's one thing I don't have is a basement or a garage, but I'm getting there. I'll get there. One of these. Got to have a garage.
Yeah.
So when your business, you were doing home repairs, small project home repairs. Where did you build? I mean, you worked for the phone company. I mean, you didn't work in construction. Where did you pick up these skills? Because I've seen some of your work, and it's good.
I guess hands-on. I couldn't afford to hire contractors to come in and build. Like our first house that we built was 2,800 square feet. And that house took 5 years to build. It was a 2-story, had a round foyer as you come into the house. It looked like a barn, but it was quite a project. I mean, I had never built anything, and I didn't know how to read the blueprints, and I'd sit up at night after I come home from work and study those blueprints at night. And then when I got the foundation done, the floor poured and everything, we had a barn raising. I had people that I worked with at the telephone company and people from our church would come over every Saturday, and we would sometimes we'd have anywhere from 10 to 15 guys working. So we just had a barn raising, something like the Amish have.
Yeah, community getting together.
Mm-hmm.
Were you ever intimidated by the project?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
What got you over some of that fear? Because one of the things we talk about is fear is a necessity in life. It keeps us safe. However, so much of it keeps us held back. And people tend not to achieve success or anything in life because they're just scared. What did you, I mean, that's a massive undertaking, never having built a house. What do you do when that voice in your head says, Gerald, you're in over your head?
Well, when you have a wife saying you can do it,
yeah,
you do it. You
Yeah.
try.
the support.
Yeah.
Yeah, your wife,
And she was, she was behind me all the time. And,
yeah, Nancy believes you can do anything.
Oh, yeah.
She told me.
Yeah.
She says, if it can be done, Gerald can do it.
and my kids, they're the same way. They say, my daddy can do it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I've seen it. You can. You got. And we talked about earlier. You got my ass out of a sling a couple of times, but that support structure. You mentioned the church. Has the church been important in your life?
Very important.
How has that helped mold the person that you are today?
Well, you want to treat people like you want to be treated. And we're put here on this earth to help people. And I get a lot of enjoyment out of helping people. I still, try to help people too, even at my age, but I do what I can.
Mm-hmm.
But this younger generation, they want everything now. And when I was coming up, if I wanted something, I would get an additional job. I would go out and get some mechanic work or something. I'd paint a car, do something or get another job in order to be able to pay for what I wanted, rather than going and charging it and or getting a loan and having high interest rates.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've
You're pretty
I've
much
never-
anti that.
I've never liked paying interest.
Mm-hmm.
Well, your salvation helps, I guess, in how you treat people.
And your view on life.
Yeah.
Were you, as a young man, were you born in the church, or is that something came into your life later?
No. Well, my mother took me to church, when I was little, when we were living in North Carolina. But then when we moved to Florida, I didn't go to church there because my family did not go to church. But then, in order to date Nancy,
there she is again.
that's the only place that I could take her was to church. So every Sunday we started going to church. And
you weren't allowed to take her out on a regular date?
oh no.
No chaperones?
No chaperones.
Oh, really? You couldn't just take her out to
No,
dinner?
I couldn't take her out.
Oh, wow.
Not until, I guess, well, when I turned 16, I think we went to the lake one time, and but then after I went into the service, and we broke up, then we got back together. I had a car that I had bought in California, and drove back to Jacksonville. Well, when Nancy and I became engaged, her parents more or less disowned her, and they took her car away from her. So I gave her my car, and I would hitchhike back and forth from Fort Benning to Jacksonville on the weekends to see her.
What was their reasoning? I mean, for them not? Why didn't they like you?
They didn't think I would ever amount to anything because I didn't graduate high school.
Oh, okay. They didn't think you were good enough for their daughter.
No.
Well, you proved
And
them
I
wrong.
really didn't amount to much anyway, but she did learn to like me. Their mother, that is.
Oh, I love your perspective on life, though. You have, one of the first things that you said to me, you looked at me, you said, "Let me tell you something. Retire as soon as you can." You enjoy life.
I do. And we are, well, the reason I say retire as young as you can, you're still able to get out and travel and go places and do things, which we still do. But I can't walk as far as I used to. I can't get out here and take hikes and stuff like that. But we still get out and do the things that we want to do. We still go places. We still go on cruises. We still travel, But, yeah, I enjoyed retirement.
All right, little technical difficulties, but we got that fixed. No, it's fine. This light's perfect. So let's go back to how God changed your life and the importance. So at first, it was just to get the girl, because that's the only place you can date her.
Yeah.
It's in church. But it definitely has transformed your life as a man.
Oh yes. When we first got married, we were kind of hit and miss as far as going to church, and then at 23, I accepted the Lord as my Lord and Savior. She was saved when she was much younger up in Virginia, but I can remember when I was in service, and the Cuban conflict was breaking out over there, and they were having the Cuban Missile Crisis threat was going on, and they extended me like for 4 months, and I was scared to death. that I was going to die. They were going to send me over there and I was going to die. But after being saved, I don't worry about dying. Here, let's say, well, when I was 35 years old, I had an aneurysm on the brain. And they gave me less than 10% chance of coming out of it alive. They said if I was alive, that I could be a vegetable. I'd never be able to walk again. I could be blind. They did not know until after the surgery was over with. And they didn't tell me any of this stuff, but they were telling Nancy. And the doctor come in just before they operated on me, and he said, Mr. Brown, he said, I've got to tell you this. He said, before I operate on you, he said, you stand less than a 10% chance of coming out of this alive. And he said, we don't know what you'll be like if you are alive. And I said, Lord, if you're ready for me, I'm ready to go.
You're 35 years old.
35 years old. Had two small babies. And there was a voice, I guess it's the Holy Spirit, I don't know, but come to me and said, you are going to be all right. And so when I come out of surgery, one of my neighbors, he was in the hall there, and he said, how you doing, GB? I said, I'm doing fine, Dave. And the doctor looked at Nancy and said, he's going to be all right. And so then, here 7 years ago, I come down with lymphoma cancer and ended up having to go through 6 treatments of chemo. The Lord pulled me out of that. I've been cancer-free for 7 years. Then just before we moved back to Florida here a year and a half ago, I had a mini stroke. And come to find out, I had clogged arteries in my carotid artery here. And Lord taking care of that. So I don't know why he's given me 83 years, because I certainly haven't done anything to deserve it, But
you're here for a reason.
Yeah.
In the short period of time that my wife and I have known you, you and your wife have brought tremendous joy in our lives. You're just wonderful people to be around. One of the things when we bought a house in Tennessee, they said, well, you're going to get invited to church and you're going to get your neighbors coming on over. Sure enough, within the first couple of days, you guys going to church? And just that old-fashioned, neighborly caring, just right away. Anything we needed, don't even worry about it. You need help, take care of it. There's no expectation for return. Just that's what we do. We help people out. When you started your business, you said something that's very wise. I asked you what you did. And you said that, you fixed things and you did small home repairs. But you also mentioned that your business grew to the point where you had more work than you could handle because you were taking care of people. You said you were doing it because people needed your help, whether they're, didn't have the money or they just needed some repairs around the house. But you were serving people. And one of the things that I tell people that want to start a business is your motivation cannot be for money. What you do is different than why you do it. And the people that work with me, I remind them weekly is that we happen to fix heating and air conditioning, but that's not really what we're doing. We're in the relationship management business. Our job is to build relationships with other people and serve them with humility, provide them the best possible service that we can. And when your focus is on the people, your business is going to grow. You got to care about I don't think a house ever handed you a check when you finish fixing it. It's always the person. Never had an air conditioner go, thanks for fixing me. Here's a check. And it's the focus on serving people, providing them with an honest job within your skill set at a fair price. That's what builds business. That's why the rules don't matter. You could be 62 years old and start a business. You can be 65 and decide, I'm going to build a house because my wife wants one. And having that support is really is so critical, especially for men, to having the support from their wives. I mean, I take on a lot. And one of the things that my wife always says is once Ryan says he's going to do something, I just prepare myself for the ride because I'm going to go out and do it. Does that mean it's going to be successful out of the gate? No. She knows it's going to be hard. It's going to be, it'll be ups and downs. But she also knows that together we fight through it and we will achieve our goals. And people think everything is linear. Start on one and finish here. Nope, it's a mountain. Up the mountain, down the mountain, around the corner. You got things coming at you from every direction. But to have that support, especially from your spouse, and that's what makes it strong. We talked earlier, what's the secret to success? And that's, you said 100%, 100%, not 50-50. You have to be able to communicate everything about what your dreams are, what your successes, what your failures are. You know, when you're failing, you need somebody there to help you out and support you and say, hey, get back up, dust yourself off. We can do this. We've already gotten this far on the house. We can finish the house. Hey, I'm going to start a business. I'm 62 years old. Okay. If you say you can do it, we're going to do it. And that's the kind of optimism and tenacity that we need to start seeing in some of the young people. I have seen some lights, some bright lights with the younger generation. I work with people of all ages, and I see there's some lazy and entitled, but I also see some of them that get it and understand that hard work is necessary. So, I think we're going to be all right. But yeah, we definitely need to see more of that attitude of I'm going to break through the barriers rather than I'm going to just let life happen to me. Got to get out there and make life happen for yourself.
That's true.
Yeah. So hunting you still do any hunting?
Oh yeah, I still hunt, not like I used to. I mean, for years and years, every weekend I was in the woods, and now it depends on the weather. If it's too cold, I don't go. If it's too hot, I don't go.
You got to be comfortable.
But no, I still hunt. I hunt up in Georgia, and I have a hunting blind with a heater and all in it.
Yeah, I saw your new blind here. You've moved down here to Florida from Tennessee a couple of years ago?
About a year and a half ago.
You got your blind built already?
Yeah. Built
it yourself?
Yep. But the one I had in Tennessee had a bench in it where I could lay down and take a nap.
That's when the deer would actually come, when you were sleeping. They knew when you went to sleep.
So they would come when I was sleeping, and so I went to Harbor Freight and I bought one of those driveway sensors, and I put it down there, and when a deer walked up, it would beep on the sensor, and I could wake up and shoot it. What is your favorite, all the years of hunting, what is your favorite type of hunting, and what's your favorite game that you like to go after? Well, my favorite game is deer, but one of the best hunts was a trip to Colorado where I killed a 11-point elk. And that was really a fun hunt. But
now, is that hunting, when you go elk hunting, is that tracking the elk, or is it sitting in a blind, kind of like with the deer? Same concept, or a different type of hunt?
Kind of the same concept, except there I was just sitting on the ground, just leaned up against a tree, waiting for them to come out of the bottoms down in there.
And what's the excitement? You get pretty excited when you see them come on out?
Especially when it's 11 point. Yeah.
What were you using to hunt that day?
300 Win Mag, a rifle.
Yeah.
It shoots a bullet about that long.
One shot?
Oh, yeah.
That's all you get.
Mm-hmm.
Because then they scatter. Was it a clean shot?
Yep.
How's that elk meat?
Wonderful.
Mm.
Better than beef.
How do they, so when you shoot an elk in Colorado and you live in Tennessee or Florida, how do you get the meat back?
Well, at that time, there was no restrictions. Now, there's restrictions on bringing stuff back. Not really the meat. You cannot bring any bone products back into Florida because of CWD, chronic waste disease, that deer have.
It's in the bones?
It's in the bones, yeah. And like in West Tennessee, I think they have chronic waste disease. And even in Georgia, you can't bring the bone back into Florida. You have to debone your meat up there, put it in the cooler, but you cannot bring any bone back, and you can't bring any brain or anything like that back.
None of the organs?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. But
well, that sounds like a pretty fun hunt. I know you've taken me fishing. You got that figured out pretty good. Yep. How many lures did I lose? I think I still owe you about 20.
Oh, that was trout fishing.
Well, we went. Well, they had just stocked the creeks up in Tennessee, and you said, let's go fishing. You just happened to be in the neighborhood with a couple fishing poles in the back of your UTV, and so I went on down there with you. I lost 5 or 6 lures, probably in about an hour, and promise you I'll buy you some. I think I still owe you some. I don't think I ever got around to buying. Matter of fact, the next time we were about ready to go fishing, you had went and bought a whole set of lures.
That's right. I bought a bunch because you were going.
I lost them.
Something happened. We didn't get to go.
No, I didn't. I wasn't able to go. I don't remember. I think my foot got hurt. I made some excuse not to go. But you knew exactly where those fish were at. You said you throw it right there, you're going to catch it. It was fun. I had a great time. And went down, fished for a couple hours, brought home lunch. That's living. Mm-hmm. And then we cooked that trout up. It was so good. You know, the other thing you taught me when I was in Tennessee, you said, hey, we're having the ramp festival. I'm thinking, what is a ramp? Well, explain what the ramp festival is and what a ramp is, because I had to just learn that 3 years ago.
Ramp is similar to a spring onion, but rather than having a hollow stem, it has a flat leaf-like blade on it. And they're kind of a cross between a garlic and an onion. And you just cut the bottoms off of them and just dice the rest of it up, and you put it in scrambled eggs, cook it with scrambled eggs, or either you can cook it with sliced potatoes.
And this just grows wild.
They grow wild. Or you can actually just cook them in bacon grease. Now, Nancy fixed me some in bacon grease one night, and I ate those things. She did not eat any. And the next morning, she woke up and she rolled over and she said, "You stink." She said, "I'm going to town and shop today." Mm-hmm. But they do leave, cause you'd have a bad odor.
Yeah, they were actually, but I thought they were great. I know our neighbor David doesn't really like them, but he's, why would you ruin eggs? Why would you ruin eggs by putting that ramp in it? But they had a whole festival. It was neat. We went and you brought me to some wild ramp patches. We cut it all up. Then we brought it down to the festival, and they cooked up eggs and all sorts of things with it, just right out there in the wild.
They have a ramp festival every year at the Bear Club up there.
Yeah, you were part of the Bear Club.
Yes.
You guys hunt bear.
Right.
You ever get a bear?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What's that like? What's the process? Is there a different process hunting bear than deer?
Well, in Tennessee, you can run bear with dogs. In Florida and most states, um, you can't use dogs on bear, but up there you can. Now you cannot run deer in Tennessee with dogs.
So when I see the trucks, because I see them, these guys will have their trucks fully outfitted with kennels built into their trucks, and you see them driving real slow around the curvy roads. They're trying to sniff them out, or
It's called rigging.
rigging? Okay.
They put the dog on top of the dog box, or either they'll chain him onto the hood of the truck, and as they're driving down the road, if a bear has crossed that road, that dog will pick up that scent and start opening. And when he starts opening, they'll turn him loose and put him on the trail. And when he starts barking real good, they'll turn another pack of dogs behind it. Run the bear until the bear goes up a tree or either goes into a cave or something. And if he goes up the tree, then the dogs will all swarm around that tree and bark and keep him up the tree until the hunters get there. Then they walk up underneath like a squirrel hunting and shoot the bear out.
Out the tree.
Yeah.
And then they had that building, the Bear Club over there in Del Rio. They had the whole processing building.
Skin and shed.
Yeah. And bear meat good?
Yes. It's a dark, grainy meat, but it has a good flavor to it.
What's a very common way they prep it?
Barbecue, most of them up there do it in barbecue. I make a bear stew out of it. And I have fried some. It's good fried too.
And this is black bear in Tennessee, right? And how many tags, what are you allowed to?
One per person.
One bear per person, and you hunt just the male or female or both?
Either one. They try to kill only the males, but sometimes it's hard to determine whether it's a male or a female. But if they can shoot anything over 75 pounds, which I don't really agree to that. But
that's kind of small, right?
Yeah,
What's a full-grown bear, black bear weigh?
For me,
full-grown, mature.
We've killed them up to 600 pounds up there.
Oh, wow.
In Tennessee. But I like 250 pounder. The one I killed was only 150, but they were telling me everybody that was under the tree there saying, oh, that's a good 250 pound bear. And when I shot it and it fell out, I thought, nope, it won't go 250 pounds. And we weighed it and it was only 150. Yeah.
I remember, do you remember the lecture that you had to give my wife when we first moved to Tennessee?
Which one?
So when we, at our place in California, we have dogs. And one of the nice things about having dogs, you never have any leftover scraps. You make a meal. If there's any leftovers, the dogs are ready to enjoy some of the human food. Well, my wife thought that would be a great idea up in Tennessee. So unbeknownst to me, she's collecting the scraps, and she's putting the scraps outside the front door for the bears to come and get. So about 2 o'clock in the morning, she hears some noise. And I'm asleep. And so she kind of goes out into the front family room. She opens the blinds on the door, and she puts her face there. And right there with his face is a big black bear staring right at her. Where's my food? About a week later, here comes Gerald. I need to talk to your wife. I said, what's going on? He goes, I think she's leaving food out for the bears. How did you figure that out? Were your dogs coming to get the food? Somehow you knew.
I think she told me about the bear, and then I told her, I said, you don't leave food out on the porches up here.
No, and that's our door is a glass door.
Yeah.
And I actually had to hang a sign right outside that door that said "Do not feed the bears," so that she would be reminded not to feed them. You know, they're cute and they're adorable. You see the mom with the little cubs, but you know, they're wild animals.
Oh yeah, they're dangerous.
They act somewhat docile too, the black bears. They're supposed to be the most docile of the bears, but they're still dangerous. If they want something, they're going to get it.
Oh yeah.
I know that the first week we have a little black Explorer, and it's all dirt roads where we're at up there. So, you know, a black car is completely full of dirt and dust within 2 minutes after you wash it. I come outside and my wife's like, Ryan, come on, check this out. There were bear paw prints all over at the glass, the hood, the trunk, everywhere. There must have been 20 or 30 paw prints everywhere on this thing. And we got excited. Oh, wow. I think we left the trash in there. I believe we had a bag of trash in there overnight. And they didn't break those windows open to get to it. But they tried everything. There all the evidence that they were there. They had paw prints everywhere. And they are huge, huge paw prints. They're adorable to look at from a far distance. Yeah, we had to kind of learn our way around, not to get into trouble. Well, listen, Gerald, this has been fun. I've been excited to talk to you, and I appreciate your time. And I think people are going to love to hear your stories.
Well, I hope so.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll do it again when you hit 92.
Okay.
No, 93. We'll follow up on your 93.
Oh, okay.
That's only 10 years away.
Yeah.
You know, you've already skated past a couple of near misses, so we'll expect you, and then we'll celebrate your 103 as well. That's only 20 years from now. I
may have to have that walker by 103.
I know. I think you'll probably end up building another house or something. You're gonna get in about a year from now. You're gonna get bored here in Florida, and you're gonna start something new. I already know it. All right. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
You've been listening to Real People, Real Life. Our passion is to have real conversations with real people who've made it. Real people who've made it, who did it on their own terms. We'll be back soon, but in the meantime, catch us on Twitter or X at RPRL Podcast and on YouTube at Real People, Real